So, I hope you've had a beautiful start to your week, and we're going to be cranking on with this episode in just a couple of moments. So, let me know if you're coming in live, guys, and this is going to be fire. This episode is going to be sick. I can promise you that. So, team, good morning. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Hello, Vincey. How are you, my man? How are you, my brother? I'll tell you what, this cold Canada scenario is not faring too well. Hey, Mikey boy, how are you, mate? To the Canadian boys getting up nice and early. It's a, I don't know what it's like where you guys are, but it's bloody freezing here. But that said, it's pretty nice. We've got snow in the backyard and a nice clear day. So, yeah, good legend, so cold. Hey, Nikki, how are you, mate? Tez is here. Jen's here. How are you, guys? I'm going to give you guys a hot tip to start the morning. What you want to do is, I don't know about you guys if you're at a desk very often, but one of the things that I find really, really difficult to do is to concentrate when I have music on in the background that has lyrics. So, for example, Michelle, good morning. I know that you work at a desk all day. Yeah, I can't concentrate at all without with having lyrics on in the background. So there is this channel called Chilled Cow. Okay, Chilled Cow. Write it down. You ready? It's here. Chilled Cow. And they do this stuff called like lo-fi or hip-hop. And it is really, really cool. Really cool music with no lyrics and makes it super easy to work, but it's kind of upbeat and you put it on low enough and it's really, really nice. So that's my hot tip for this morning. Chilled Cow, got it. I think they actually, there's a ton of albums on there anyway. Okay, guys, I think we're going to rock and roll with this episode. What do you reckon? Good morning, Jamie. How are you, girl? You good? I think we should get started. So I'm just giving you guys some forewarning that this is going to be fire, okay? If you're wanting to start your week nice and, nice and gently and peacefully, this is probably not the episode to listen to, although it's going to be full of value, okay? So I can give you that. I can promise you that. On another note, how did you guys enjoy the training yesterday? You get some value out of it? Let me know in the comments. I know a few of you are probably at the gym right now, so that's all good. But let me know in the comments to just confirm that it helped. Good morning, Jimmy. How are you, my man? All right. I think we are ready to rock this Casper. What do you reckon? All right. So I'm just going to set up a couple things, and we are good. Let's do it, guys. Let's do it. Okay, here we go. On the count of 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Welcome back to the Better Body Academy podcast. This is the podcast that you come to when you're sick of the dumb diets and unsustainable workout programs. Thank you so much for joining me this morning or this evening if you're in the UK. Obviously, being your Sunday, guys, I appreciate your earbuds. And to your Aussies, we're kicking off this week in big fashion. And I think that's a really good place to start, actually. So with now we're, 9 to 10 days, depending where in the world you are, into the new year, I'm interested in whether you are following through on what you said that you were going to do this year, okay? Let me know in the comments, are you following through? Inside of Better Body Academy, we have had a storming start, don't you think, guys? So 2 workshops, dumping value. We've had about 20 people already join us in the last 10 days. And our movement is becoming very, very, very real and apparent. Now, clients, if you did not catch yesterday's workshop, the Fat Loss Kickstarter, you must replay it now or early this week and download and implement the subsequent meal plan, which is delicious and beautiful. And you're going to be following that meal plan for the first month, and it is going to bloody help you. Okay. Now I'm like a pretty motivated guy. But I got to say that right now I'm super motivated. ridiculously fired up to deliver more value and set the benchmark in this industry. And it's so good being back in Vancouver in my bunker with my vision board and my tech and all the stuff going on. And if you're one of your clients, you've probably felt that. So if you're not yet inside a BBA, send me a DM and we can chat about how we can help you. Now, in today's episode, guys, this is going to be a banger. I'm going to show you some points of vulnerability, but this is a really important episode, and it's an episode around the 5 skills, high value skills to change your life. Now, I was going to call this episode the 5 skills to change your body. That's what originally I thought I'd call the episode. But when I actually started taking some notes to discuss this topic, I realized something actually. These 5 skills that I'm going to talk about in this episode are applicable to building and running a better business. They're applicable to building deeper connections in your relationships. They're applicable to making more money, to excelling and getting a pay rise at work. And so what I did is sat back and thought about, well, why is it that something that's applicable to our body is applicable to everything in life? Like, it sounds quite weird that something that's going to help you lose weight is also going to be something that's going to help you make more money. Like, what's with that? You guys have an opinion on that? So for me, here's my conclusions, okay? Success is about overcoming physical and mental obstacles, okay? So he or she that overcomes these physical and mental obstacles wins. So the physical obstacles, what do I mean by that? What are they going to be? Well, there might be a disability at one end, but mostly I'm talking about being overweight, being weak, being injured, being getting older, being inflexible, lacking energy. These are physical obstacles, okay? And whatever your limitations are, they're physical obstacles. But then we've got the mental obstacles, self-limiting beliefs, self-doubt, lack of confidence, not letting the past define the future. And so can you see the link here between success and our ability to overcome these obstacles? And if I always like to kind of talk about my own personal experience, because obviously I can speak from an expert's point of view on my life and what I've experienced. And if I'm completely honest, guys, 3 to 4 years ago, I was not winning. I was in a friend zone in a relationship that ended up in her cheating. I wanted to be a dad, and I was 36 years old, and I wanted to be a dad for the last 5 to 10 years, and I was not a dad. And I just spent the last 12 years in the same job that was no longer challenging me, not paying me accordingly, and not allowing me to fulfill my God-given mission. And I'm not religious, but my God-given mission to serve you guys. I was trying hard to build this side hustle, and it stayed exactly like that. But the reality, the fact of it was that I'd earned $1,500 in 6 years. 6 years. That's not a very successful coach. So it really gets me thinking. I think a lot of people think that the 5 skills that I'm about to list out are going to be things like hard work and motivation, cliched things. But no. Okay, so if you've got a pen and paper, you should write these skills down and any notes, or watch the replay, listen to it on the Apple Podcast, because this is going to be really, really special, these skills, okay? The 5 now high value skills to change your life, which means your health, wealth, and relationships, and all the tails that come off that, but they're in no particular order, okay? So let's go. Skill number 1. Feel free to comment the skill, because when you hear it, then write it, it's 2 lots of learning. Skill number 1 is desire. Desire. I'm unsure if this is a skill or a character trait, but what I personally know is, for me, I have always wanted more. I've just always wanted more. And by more, a lot of people probably think that I mean, material goods like a car and, that sort of stuff. But For me, I read a very famous book when I was young, and a lot of people have read this, so this is not like revealing. It's called Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And if you haven't read this book, I really do suggest you read this book, particularly if you're under 30, okay, where you have your entire life ahead of you. If you're under 30, he talks about this idea of depreciating assets and investing in things that become more worthless over time. And so when I say I wanted more, I mean actually things that add value to my life. So for me, the things that add value is having more deeper connections. That's probably the reason when I think about it that I stayed in my last relationship longer than I should have, because I was craving a deeper connection. When I say more value, I'm talking about more experience. So experiences like, traveling around, going to Hawaii and going to Europe and coming back to Australia. These are experiences that I want to have. I don't want to stay in one place. And I want our daughter and any subsequent kids that we could potentially have to have the same opportunity. And then more things that set me up with value in the future, like appreciating investments. I guess this was drilled into me by my dad, who come to Australia from Malta when he was 5-6 years old, and he had absolutely nothing, and he grew up in an orphanage. Okay. What I know as a coach is that you cannot teach your clients desire. You can't teach the client's desire. You have to either have the desire inherently because you got it from your parents through conditioning, or you need to develop the desire. When you come into our program, I can help you with the tools, the motivation, the support, but I cannot teach you to want it. Does this make sense, guys? Now, here's the thing. I think nearly every person, and certainly if you're listening to this podcast, you're probably not listening to it because you're bored. You're listening to it because you want more, correct? So it's not necessarily that people don't want more. It goes into the second high value skill, which is they don't believe they can have more. So skill number one, before we move on to the next one, is you have to want it. You have to want it. And this is what a vision board is about. A vision board is about asking yourself, like, before I start painting on this canvas, like, what do I actually want? If you go out in your car every morning and you just get in your car, but you don't have a place that you're driving to, what's going to happen when you hit the first roundabout? You're just going to go, do I go straight, left, or right? Doesn't really matter. I'll take whichever one. Do you know what I mean? So you have to have desire about what you want to achieve, be what you value. So the number one high value skill, guys, is desire, which then compounds onto what I just said. I think everyone wants more, but the stop is believing that they can have more. So the second high value skill to develop is belief. So what is belief? What is belief? Don't listen to this passively, guys. Think as I'm asking you the question. What is belief? All belief is a feeling of certainty about something in your life or an idea. It's not a fact. Belief is not a fact. A feeling of certainty. It's a feeling. It's a feeling that you develop. So the fact that someone has a high level of self-belief does not mean that factually they have more ability. If you and I are in a room and I have a high level of self-belief and you don't, that's not because I'm more able. That's because I have more of a feeling of certainty about myself. Does this make sense? Because I think people confuse I am factually unskillful or I do not believe that I can change my circumstances. Belief and fact are two very different things. Belief is a feeling of certainty. And what it actually means is that the person has been able to develop this push to trust themselves, to follow through on what they say that they're going to do. And this, for me, is the reason why our mastermind program is amazing. For those to come into it, we help change them by changing their beliefs of what they're capable of. Because when you put people in a room, in inverted commas, with 10 to 15 other people in a concentrated fashion, and you add belief each week, you add more belief, amazing things happen. So what do you do if you have low self-belief? What do you do? Well, I would think that personally having low self-belief goes hand in hand with having low self-confidence. It's almost interchangeable for me. I don't believe in myself, I have low self-confidence. So how do you develop self-confidence? I hear a lot of people say things like, you need to fake it till you make it. That's how you develop self-confidence. But like for me, that advice hasn't really ever worked. I think you push into the fear for sure, but I don't think faking to be something that you're not. In fact, it can work the other way. It can push you the other way, because the more that you fake it, the more that you're realizing you're faking it, and the more you become consciously aware that you are not who you were trying to be. Does this make sense? So how do you develop self-confidence? I personally developed self-confidence by becoming a master at following through. Here's something, and as I was writing this, something really profound happened to me, and I completely forgot that I did this. For a period of 5 years, when I got out of the shower, and I've never told anyone this, including Claudia or anyone close to me, because I just forgot about it actually. I used to get up in the morning and go like this with a pen, and I used to write the little Nike sign on the top of my hand. And what does the Nike symbol stand for? Just do it. Just do it. So what happened is, when I was at work, or when I was out on a date, or when I was at the gym, I'd keep looking down at this Nike symbol and remember that every time I was challenged with something, I was going to have reservations about pushing through, and I'd see this symbol as like, just do it anyway. Just do it anyway. Just do it anyway. This is what developing self-belief is about. It's about overcoming the belief that you can't do it by doing it. And I don't mean that you need to go and jump out of a helicopter. What I mean is that if you say you're going to be on time, you be on time. If you say you're going to make a difficult call, you make a difficult phone call. If you say that you're going to go to the gym and you don't feel like it, you do it anyway. And what happens is, over time, you develop self-confidence. And then when you develop self-confidence, what happens? You develop trust with yourself. And then you develop trust in yourself. And guess what? You start to believe your word. Does this make sense, guys? So when you repeatedly follow up, this develops self-belief. So the first two traits are desire, which we can't teach. This has to be the internal fire, which then loads into belief and self-belief, developing that self-confidence, the trust in yourself that you can do it. Step 3 of the high-value life skills is speed of implementation. Speed of implementation, okay? Now, work with me on this one, guys. When I ask you what separates you from where you are now as a man or a woman and where you want to get to, what would the answer be for you? What would the answer be? Let me know in the comments what the answer would actually be. You're here, and you being here may be so much further than you were a year ago, or it actually might be the other way around. But whatever the case, you are where you are now, and you want to get to this point here. What separates you? My answer is not diets, supplements. It is 2 things. Number 1, it's developing the skills, whatever skills you need. And number 2, having some support and accountability. Because running your own race is crazy. Everyone wants to be self-made, but the truth is no one is self-made, because no one is a universe unto themselves. What I see in my best clients is that they learn something and they immediately implement. They immediately implement. Here's the thing. Whatever you want to do, okay, if it's weight loss, if it's flexibility, if it's to get stronger, if it's to develop more muscle, if it's to develop more money, have a business, eat healthier, get in a really good relationship, and I could just keep going and going and going and going and going. The truth is, it's already been done. Someone has the formula. So when it comes to health, I'll just be really quite blunt here. I got the cookies, okay? I got the cookies. Our coaches have got the cookies. If you want to come and nibble on the cookies, we will give you the solution. You need to find someone who geeks out on doing what you want to do and then just master what they're doing by looking at what they're doing and then implementing on what they're doing. Looking into what they're doing and implementing what they're doing. Too many people overthink, okay? It's just repeatedly doing the thing. Now, let's do a test. There's quite a few clients watching this one here. So I want to ask you a question. Over the last 10 days inside the Academy, we've run 2 workshops, okay? The 2 workshops are the game plan and the fat loss Kickstarter, okay? So 2 questions, and this is a little test. You can write in the comments if you want to be honest, or just have a think about what I'm saying, because how you do one thing is how you do everything, okay? How many of you went and spent just 5 minutes yesterday, being a Sunday, and you've got a little heads up to you guys in the UK now, how many of you spent 5 minutes planning your week? Because we said that the week starts on Sunday, and if you don't plan in your week, if you don't plan in your workouts, they won't get done. So that's the first question. How many of you spent just 5 minutes planning your week, diarizing your workouts? If the answer to that is no, do it as soon as you get off this call, okay? Just put the workout dates into the diary. That micro commitment goes a hell of a long way. And the second question is, how many of you yesterday enjoyed, we had at the top of it, we had 100 clients watching the Fat Loss Kickstarter. How many of you then downloaded the meal plan, went and did the grocery shopping, and are now prepped for your week? Give me a show of hands. All of the guys in the comments saying, me, 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 me. I love that. And this is the thing. Success likes speed. One of my coaches constantly said this to me all the time. Success likes speed. Success likes speed. By the way, I think that reading books is a form of procrastination if all you do is read. I'm a huge proponent of reading. I'm a huge proponent of you guys that are in the Academy studying the guides. But when you're studying the guides, what do? Do you, as an example, watch the session on rule of thirds and how to divide your plate? And then that night, do you divide your plate that way? Have you looked at a video on nutrition tracking and then started tracking it immediately? Or did you put it off? Guys, it's not a criticism. I'm simply saying one of the high value skills is that don't try to bulk learn everything and think that you'll just implement when the time is right. You will not. You will not implement. Success likes speed. And so when you learn the thing, do the thing immediately. Does that make sense? Guys, I've given you one example. If you haven't planned your workouts, get off this podcast when it's finished and plan your workouts. So, number 4 of the high value skills. Remember, these skills are applicable to everything in life. And the reason I've been able to come up with this list of skills, guys, is because this is what I suffered from, a deficit in these things. Number 4 is to put down your ego. To put down your ego. Does this make sense? In order to have speed of implementation, you need to have learned a skill. So you can't implement something you haven't learned yet, right? So if success likes speed, you have to have got the skill or the knowledge from somewhere that you're going to implement. The question is, where are you getting the tool from? In our program, it's from our coaching. Now, we've got all the answers for you. So if you're sitting on the fence and you're not part of it, get involved. Once you've joined the program, you have to understand something. Hard as it might be, whatever you've done up till now has not consistently worked. And if you feel part of you taking offense to that statement, I understand, because that's the exact situation that I was in. I told you guys, 6 years of coaching, $1,500, I was working for 2 cents a day, okay? I had to understand that what I was doing was not working. And so what happens is we come into some sort of a coaching program or a mentorship, and we try to carry through all the baggage that we had from the past and our perceptions around a thing. Okay? If it wasn't working what you did before, then stop doing it and start doing what your coaches are suggesting you do. And if you do that, things will happen for you quickly. And there are countless examples. Just go to the betterbodyacademy.com and have a look at the transformations page. It is repeatable. I found this out in my own coaching business. The moment I got a coach, after struggling for 6 years, within 6 months, I had something I never actually ever dreamed of. But I had to be willing to admit that what I was doing to that point wasn't working. So that requires you to stomach your ego. If you're paying a coach to instruct you, then do exactly what they tell you. Park your ego at the door and stick to what they tell you until it's proven wrong. This is the reason why I love working with men and women that are over 40 years old. Over 40 years old. Jimmy's watching this. Guys like Jimmy, guys like Tezza, guys like Roger, guys like Alan Williams, and all of the ladies as well. And the reason is because by the time you reach 40 to 50, you're kind of a little bit like, fuck, like, I'm sick of just it not working. I'm sick of struggling. I'm just going to do what someone tells me and try that. And when that happens, Jim's case, he loses 30 kilos in the course of 4 months. Guys, this is the thing. If you're sick of trying to figure it out and you don't need to impress anyone anymore, just be down to do exactly what is suggested. And if you do that, leave the ego at the door, things will happen. Again, this is the reason why I pay a financial advisor, because I just do what they tell me. Is it blind trust? Well, no, there's an element of me doing some research, but if what I've read is different to what they've suggested, then I would ask. I would say, well, how come that is? And that's what a coaching relationship's about. If you guys in the academy are unsure of why you're doing a certain thing, you're not going to do it with any sense of belief. Skill 2, if you don't understand why. So ask your coach. Send us a message through the success team and say, hey, listen, just to clarify, why do we do that? And once you feel confident in the answer, then you'll go and do that. Okay, number 5 of the high value skills. This is a big one, and this is a willingness to fail. A willingness to fail. You know, the typical thing that I could possibly do here is rattle off stories about Thomas Edison and the light bulb, and the Wright brothers and the plane, and Oprah Winfrey's childhood and all that stuff. But the truth is, we don't really need to complicate it with these old stories. Let me ask you a question. Have you ever achieved anything good at the first attempt? Actually, I'm just going to read out Jim's comment here. Inflated egos deflate progress. I'm going to leave that up on the screen. That is incredible. So have you ever achieved anything the first time which was good? As in, like, on the first attempt? Did your baby, if you're a parent, did they just get out of the cot and start walking? Or did you get your son and daughter and just kind of chuck them in the pool and all of a sudden they start swimming laps and you're like, wow, you're very talented? Are you still with your first boyfriend or girlfriend? No, because life is failure. Life is a series of failures. And each one of these failures is a grinding block, like a knife that needs to be sharpened. The failure is the grinding block. Your life is the knife. And you need to grind it and sharpen it with enough failure until eventually you cut through. The business that I run, the relationship that I'm in, my wanting for things constantly, it's desire that kept me going. That's it. So, is it that we're actually, I'm really fascinated around this failure piece. Is it that we're actually scared that failure will physically hurt us? Is that what it is? When you think about yourself, is it failure that you're worried about physically hurting you? Or is it that we're scared of being embarrassed in front of everyone? Is that it? Is it that we're scared of being embarrassed, like socially? If I fall over here, everyone will see. Is that part of it? Or is it that when we get older maybe above 30 or 40 or 50, we just settle. We say what we want. We complain we don't have it to anyone that wants to listen. We become a victim. But as soon as it gets hard, we give up. For me, we've actually come full circle here back to desire. We're back at desire. If we give up because it hurts, or we've got a broken ego, it mustn't have meant that much to us in the first place. And the reason that we started with desire is because this is the fuel. You can't teach someone. You have to actually want the thing that you say that you want. And you have to want it so much. And you have to think about it and you have to obsess about it. You have to go through shit in life, like knee-deep shit if you want a better life. No one is owed anything. No one is owed anything. And my worry for our current generation, and I'm making myself sound super old at 39 years old, but my worry for the current generation is that they seem to think that like the attention span is so short that if I don't find this hack or underground secret, if I don't have it now, that's it. It's not worthwhile. I'm not going to get it. To be honest, it's bullshit. You change your life by becoming the person that is capable of living the life that you want. I'm going to say that again, okay, quite clearly. You change your life by becoming the person inside out that is capable of living the life that you want to live. You can't fix your problems with the same mindset that created them. You can't fix your problems with the same mindset that created them. So if you've been in this kind of stuck phase for somewhere between 1 and 10 years, a mindset that you have created that. So you can't stay in that mindset. Think of the mindset like a bubble. You can't stay in the mindset, not develop any skills, and solve the same problem that you created. You're in the same bubble. What you need to do to be able to fix this stuff and start moving forward, to feel more healthier, to feel more energetic, to feel fitter, to break out of the plateau that we're in, is to break out of the environment. You've got to break out of the environment, and you need to start developing these high value skills that we've talked about. Skills like, I'm going to say that I'm going to do something, and I'm going to do it. And I'm not talking about big monumental things like I'm going to go to the moon. I'm talking about, I told you I'd take the rubbish out, wife. I'm going to take the rubbish out because I just do it. Does this make sense, guys? Hopefully this has been helpful. Replay it if you need to, because this is a really powerful podcast if you take the essence out of this. What I'm essentially telling you is that getting on the hamster wheel and just pedaling as hard as you possibly can is one part. That's work ethic. But the other part actually is developing the mindsets that are required, the desire, the belief, the willingness to trudge through the shit of failure, the willingness to put your ego to the side. These are the things that are going to make all the difference. Guys, this has been the Better Body Academy podcast, the podcast that you come to when you're sick of the dumb diets, unsustainable workout programs. I thank you all for your support and earbuds this morning, and I'll see you in the next episode.